Welcome back to the Sports Talk ATL podcast. I'm Chase Irle at Sports Talk ATL on Twitter, joined by Jake Gordon at Can't Guard Jake on Twitter and Alex Sword at Go Sports Talk on Twitter. Guys, this is home of your first place Atlanta Falcons. We are back in a tie for first place with the Bucs. Only team in the NFC South to get a win, and we dominated the 49ers. And I saw a tweet, I don't know who it was, but it was, if they can beat the 49ers by 2 touchdowns, they can beat anyone in the NFC by 2 touchdowns. I don't know if I would go there, but the NFC is a terrible division. Or a terrible conference.
Are the Falcons the Bengals of 2022? That's just kind of what I've been hearing.
It's a much different style. We're not going to throw it. I mean, this is the third time. I think the third time we have less than 140 yards passing, and we're 3-0. It's a different style, but people around the league are starting to realize there's something to just running the shit out of the ball and having a quarterback that can control the pace of play. Their defense is not great, but it's feisty enough. They played great against the 49ers. But it's feisty enough to, keep, prevent big plays and stuff like that. And the offense has the ball for over half the game almost every time, rushing the ball for nearly 200 yards. Marcus Mariota might not be able to throw, but his legs, they work. It's a feisty.
It's insane that this team really could and should be 5-1 right now.
At least 4-2. 4-2 is a no-brainer.
4-2.
4-2. They should have never. If Marcus Mariota doesn't fumble the ball, they win the Saints game by 4 touchdowns.
Yep. That was by far and away his best game as a Falcon. I mean, 13
and 1 incompletion.
Yep. And it was at the end of the game, too.
It came in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes and 52 seconds left.
Yeah. Unbelievable game by Marcus Mariota. I mean, that was awesome. Awesome to see. His legs were working, and he was still making throws when he needed to. There was multiple third downs that the drive would have been over with any other quarterback back there. That shall not be named. But Marcus Mariota's legs continue to get it done. I mean, you got to love it. I mean, after we were just talking all this shit about him, it is fun to watch.
I remember, I think it might have just been week 1 or week 2 maybe, but I was I kind of fuck with having Mariota back there. He just runs around
backyard football.
Yeah, man. It's at least I don't know, bro. I know we sat here and stand Matt Ryan for all those years, and I'm just dude, it's nice having a guy that can actually move. Actually not just a complete statue. Even if he's not nearly as good maybe as Matt Ryan in his prime years, obviously, but still, at least he's fun out there running around throwing. He's not. I don't know. He's average. He's just the definition of average. But
we talked about this before the season. I said Marcus Mariota is closer to the 16th ranked quarterback in the league than the 32nd, and I would say he's probably been the 18th best quarterback in the league so far or something. Granted, quarterback play hasn't been that good, but he was never that terrible. He was just never. He's not a guy. He's not your long-term solution.
I can't believe that's an argument. And I know you're just saying that, but people on Twitter actually made the argument of this guy is not the long-term answer at quarterback. And it was you're just pulling that out of air. You were just pulling. Nobody said that.
I was told Steph wasn't a good shooter.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
There is this weird group of people that they name search Marcus Mariota, I guess. And if you say something negative about them, it's 3 or 4 people. They're all Titans fans, and they'll all be in your mentions fuck you, you don't know anything about it. Fuck you, how dare you talk about my there's the weirdest group of people I've ever seen in my life.
They got to be Samoan or some sort of Hawaiian. They have cultural ties to Mariota.
I think they're just Titans fans. They're all weird anyways.
I went to the Saints game, the season opener, and there was 2 guys sitting behind me in Oregon shirts, and I was wasted. And I was like, what the hell are you guys doing here? What are you, Georgia had just beaten the shit out of Oregon. So I was
they just love Mariota, bro.
Yeah. And I turned back around, and then the guy I was sitting there with, I was I think Mariota went to Oregon, that's why they're here. And I turned around and I was I'm so sorry. And they were it's okay, man. They were just good sports. I feel they were Samoan too. They're just big old happy guys. It was so
those
funny.
People are
how could you forget that?
Dude, you remember?
I was 10 doubles deep. I seriously barely remember the game.
Those people are like so super nice too, like Hawaiians and stuff like that. Like I remember Georgia played Hawaii in that Sugar Bowl in like 2007, and like my parents went down there and they said like, yeah, all the Hawaiians were like, oh, like y'all are gonna kill us. Like it's okay, we're just happy to be here. This is such a great place, New Orleans, all the culture. Like we just wanted to see it. And it's like, and meanwhile, like the Georgia fans are like, who? Why are you here?
R.I.P. Cole Brennan. What a legend.
Yeah. Isn't he dead?
That's why I said R.I.P.
Oh, you said R.I.P. I thought you said Hawaii legend. Yeah. I was like, isn't he dead? Yeah, that's super sad. Yeah. We won't get into it. Anyways.
Yeah.
Well, what were we talking about? We're talking about the Falcons.
We're talking about the Falcons.
We're good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, it was no ugly. This was
playoffs?
Like I've said it. This is like the third week in a row I've said it. And this time, like, I want it to be like on record, like no BS. Like the Falcons are making the damn playoffs. Like there's no reason they shouldn't. They have the easiest schedule the rest of the way. They're only going to get better. Like this, like they're playing with rookies, first and second year guys. Like they have the type of recipe that's only going to get better throughout the whole year.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's so funny because at the beginning of the year, their schedule looked so daunting. We were like, oh my God, this schedule is brutal. And now it looks like so awful. The Chargers looked terrible last night. They got the Bengals, who finally had a good looking game last week. Panthers, Saints, and Bucks, all not good. Why not?
Steelers, Bears, Commanders. Yeah. Like that's going
to the Bears games.
And the Commanders are going to be without Carson Wentz. Like I don't know if that might be an addition by subtraction.
I was about to say I think I'd rather have him out there.
But I mean, seriously,
if you look at his stats this year, Carson Wentz's stats, they're pretty good. Like it's crazy how good they are and how bad they still are playing. Like he's completing over 65% of his passes, got like 20 touchdowns or something. Like he's seriously, maybe not 20, but he's seriously like playing well.
Well, there's this guy yesterday on Twitter, and I quote tweet it, and like I don't even understand why he said this. It's Frank Amarante. I guess he's for Game Day Sports or something. And he's tweeted this after we just beat the 49ers. So he's tweeting this yesterday on Monday. And he's like, hey, Falcons fans, would you rather Arthur Smith establish the shit out of the run to a 7-10 record or watch them air it out with Desmond Ridder and finish 3-14? As if that's the ceiling and floor. Guys, I don't give a shit who is playing under center. We are not going 3-14. Like, and the ceiling is not 7-10 at this point. That's almost like that's probably the floor. I would say the floor is 6 wins.
I am so tired. If you watch that game on Sunday and you're still, oh, we gotta have a good draft pick, guy. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear you talk. Shut up. We're good. I want to win games. You got to wipe the stink off of a franchise at some point. You can't just be bad forever, or you just end up like the Jaguars.
And then on top of that, you look at the schedule, like we just said, like there are wins everywhere. I mean, just like you got the Panthers twice. Like you should beat the shit out of those two. You got the Commanders and Bears. You should win those games. You got the Steelers. You should win those games. Then you got the Saints and Bucks. Neither of them look great. I mean, you're talking about like, and who do we play? Who do we play this week? The Bengals. Okay, the Bengals on the road. That's a tough one. You know, I think only 4 teams in the history have gone 7-0 against the spreads. We're 6 point underdogs.
I think this Bengals game is a lot.
If that gets to 7, and I'm interested to see. I mean, the Falcons. They've shown some signs of life on the defensive line too. Malone had a pretty good game. I can't say his name, dude. Arnold Ibiki. I can't say it.
Arnold Ibiketti. Yeah.
Ibiketti. All right. Ibiketti. Yes. He's been really good. Lorenzo Carter's been decent. Grady Jarrett's obviously been a monster. That Bengals offensive line can't block damn shit. I mean, if you know, this is a game where you can rack up some sacks, you know, pad your numbers. So I'll be interested to watch that.
Well, we couldn't it's going to be interesting to see what our secondary looks like against, you know, that's maybe the best receiving core in football, arguably. And we could be down Casey Hayward. It looks like Terrell's definitely going to be able to go. I think they all said it was just precautionary, but definitely be without Casey Hayward. And though Darren Hall had a really good game in place of Terrell and Hayward, I don't know if he's really, you know, that guy quite yet. Like it could be. I don't know if he's that guy,
but if there's one area of this team that I'm confident in, it's the cornerbacks. Even the third string guy. I mean, D. Alford's been really good this year. Mike Ford's shown up. Isaiah Oliver had a good first game back. I don't know if he's going to play next week. I mean, if AJ Terrell's out there, obviously we're going to be without Kate, but Darren Hall was fantastic last time out. I mean, I just think like if there's one area of this team, and I agree with you, the Bengals have the best receiving core arguably in all of football. But if there's one area of this team I'm confident in beyond just Casey Hayward, it's the cornerbacks. And if you can get pressure, it doesn't matter. Like if you can pressure Joe Burrow with that terrible offensive line, it's going to make things a lot easier on the back end.
Yeah, there's no reason to be out here talking about draft picks. Like people are talking about draft picks, and we're
Fucking
sitting at
playoffs,
500.
We're making the playoffs.
We're at 500 going into week 7.
That's the most loser shit I've ever heard in my life. Like,
what are we talking about?
Why are you even thinking about that? Like
Aaron Donald was a 14th
team
pick.
believing we're drinking Bud Lights in the game. It's the XFL down here in Atlanta. Like, how are you not just enjoying the shit out of this? Like, people thought we would legitimately be 0-6 at this point in the season. Like, we thought we would be 1-5. Like, we were looking at this and we're like, all right, the first 7 weeks, if we can come out here 1-6, like maybe we can squeak out 4 or 5 wins because we got like the Bears, Commanders, teams like that. No, we came out and won 3. We got a real shot at winning 4. I believe we could beat the Bengals. I really do. It's styles make fights. I think we can run the ball. I think if we can pressure Joe Burrow, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. I mean, have the Bengals beaten anyone by more than a touchdown this year? Why the fuck are they going to beat the Falcons?
Bro, they barely beat the Saints. They barely beat the Saints. And
the Saints were – I mean, if they don't miss a easy tackle on Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase is our boy, love the dude. I got a painting in my room of him. But, like, if they don't miss an easy-ass tackle, like, they might not win that game. I mean, they basically gave him the game-winning touchdown by taking a terrible angle. So –
You got your AJ Terrell revenge game this week, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. AJ Terrell getting a little natty. Maybe he shows up in his natty jersey against Cincinnati.
That was kind of cheesy. That was kind of cheesy. I don't know if I liked it or not.
I had a little moment where, okay, so I do like Joe Burrow, but last year especially, the Joe Burrow dick eating just went way too far. Like every single little thing he did, it's like, oh my God, Joe Shiesty. It's like, okay, calm down.
I loved it because I love Joe Burrow.
That was corny.
Me too.
If it was it was corny. It was a little.
If it was another quarterback, I'd have been like, God, stop sucking this man's dick. But like, I was full on.
Oh man, I was like, I was thinking that whole game. I was like, there's a lot of confused people in that building. Like, imagine if, like, I don't know, just randomly, like, fucking Stetson Bennett went to the Steelers and him and George Pickens came down to Atlanta and they were just ripping up the Falcons. And I'm like,
There was a ton of people in there with LSU stuff on. Like, there was a ton of people with LSU stuff in there.
Well, dude, I wanted to go up to Cincy for this game, and I looked at it, and I thought we were going to be like 1-5. Now it's even. It would be a great game. If I hadn't been out of town like the last 4 weekends and just traveling so much, I probably would have considered going up there and watching this one. But I'll watch it from my couch. But hey, Falcons +6, +6.5. If it gets up to +7, I mean. I don't know how you could look at these two teams and think that the Bengals should be a touchdown favorite. I mean, they haven't beaten anyone. They still have trouble across that offensive line. That Saints game does not impress me because we should have beaten the Saints by 2 touchdowns. I think the Falcons are going to compete this week like they have all week. I mean, they haven't lost a game by more than 5 points. I mean, this team is legit.
To be fair, and I know you said you're not worried about the cornerback room, but I'm telling you that this team is better equipped to stop the run. Like, we are better at defending the run than the pass. And that's the only thing that gives me pause about laying the points, because I've ridden with them every single week and they've won me money. It's the only team that's undefeated in any sport or any across any level, college football, pro. I can't even remember the last time a team did this. Like, even one.
There's only been 11
4, 5,
teams.
6
There's
in a
only
row.
been 11 NFL teams that have ever gone 6-0 against the spread.
That's
11
insane.
all time, and only four made it to 7-0. Oh wait, no, only 3. Only 3 made it to 7-0, and only 4 won outright. It's because I guess a lot of the teams that made it to high against the spread were favorites, but only 4 won outright. Only 3 won against the spread. So they're thinking. I mean, Vegas definitely made this number knowing that people are going to start just jumping on the Falcons bandwagon and just blindly. Yeah. Like, because that's eventually what happens. I mean, it's like us last week blindly just like fading Colorado, and they win their first fucking game. You know, like it's like I did the same thing with Colorado State 2 weeks ago. Like I was just like, oh, dude, Colorado State's the worst team of all time. They beat Nevada. It's just
You ride
like,
until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
But in college football,
No.
you see this. In college football, you see it because you'll have years where legitimately a team's like 0-9 against the spread. Like it's happened several times in college football because the like, you know, sometimes you just can't make a line big enough. Like they're just getting beat by 6.
Nebraska was what last year? They were 3-9 and 9-3 against the spread or whatever.
Yeah, but like in the NFL, it doesn't happen because the teams are so close. They're so good at making the lines.
I was about to say those are the closest. I said that this is what I was talking about on Twitter. The whole against the spread thing may not seem like a big deal, but it kind of is because the NFL lines in Vegas are the most accurate, and the Falcons are actually like that means they're actually playing games closer than they probably should be.
Oh, they
definitely should. They definitely
it's
are.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And dude, it's like Arthur Smith, my man. Like for as much like questions as we had coming into the season after year one, after week 1 blowing that game, you know, we were all pissed off. We hated the way how he handled it. I mean, I talk about a 180, and I think everyone has just been like, and including, you know, national media guys, realize what they're doing right now is absolutely incredible. And you talk about, I mean, I think you mentioned in an article yesterday, Alex, Coach of the Year. I mean, if that's voted on today, he is the Coach of the Year. And it's not even, I don't even think it's a question. I mean, maybe
that's
Nick
probably
Sirianni,
not true.
Maybe
no,
Nick Sirianni.
Daboll, what Daboll's doing with the Giants is equally impressive, if not more impressive.
Nah.
So I will say that. But Arthur Smith will be, if this trend continues, he will be right there with Sirianni, Daboll, and, you know, maybe O'Connell for the Vikings. Maybe that would be, you know, a very good. They're 4-1 or 5-1. I mean, they're.
No, I don't buy the Vikings. The Vikings already had a good roster. I can get up behind Daboll. And, hey, listen, you know what I need? You know what I need, guys? A Saquon Barkley MVP award. $200 to win $40K. Like come on. Just I got the story on my side. I just need him to break off a couple Derrick Henry like games down the stretch, like where he goes for like 200 yards.
The problem is a running back will probably never. Dude, Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards 2 years ago and he didn't win it.
Yeah, but those were good years for quarterbacks. This year, the quarterbacks are playing like shit.
Josh Allen.
I have a future on Josh Allen. And I think if the Bills are like 14-3,
Josh Allen
probably
wouldn't be the winner if it was today.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
all the Bills have to do is be good, and they're just like, well, who's the best quarterback on the best team? We'll pick that guy.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's definitely like, and he doesn't have voter fatigue. He's never won it before. Like, if I was gonna bet, it was just that it was 200 to 1, bro. Like 200 to 1 on Saquon Barkley. Yep. Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's ride.
Yeah.
So
I took McDermott Coach of the Year, but
McDermott, yeah, that could work. I mean, he'll be up there.
It's going to be Dable.
They go like
15 Dable wins like 11 games.
16-1. I mean, they definitely could. We got a lot of injuries this week, so that'll be something to keep on. I know we mentioned Hayward. Hopefully Terrell's back. Isaiah Oliver, Michael Walker. Troy Anderson played pretty good, though. Pretty good.
Yeah, Troy Anderson played exactly how I felt like everybody should have expected him to play. He did some pretty amazing things where you're like, holy shit, that guy seriously runs a 4.40. And then he did some stuff where it's like, oh yeah, that 4.4 guy's a rookie. Like that was terrible.
What about
missed a couple of tackles? Nate Landman had a nice little. I don't know if it was a sack, but he definitely had a knockdown. He definitely had a quarterback knockdown.
Our boy Nate Landman. He filled in really good. I mean, I thought a lot of the guys filled in for for what we missed. Hopefully Walker's back. The linebacker room is looking really good. I like the future of the linebacker room. There's a lot of good young pieces, man. Really, the
linebackers are just so suspect in pass coverage, dude.
That is literally 90% of linebackers in the NFL. Like how many guys? There's so few really good coverage linebackers.
I don't know.
It
doesn't have to be like. It's not like it's even you're great at man. It's just like the awareness to drop into a zone and then not like completely vacate it. I don't know. That's the problem. It feels like our linebackers drop into a zone and either don't get enough depth, and these deep crossers are just running wild right behind them, or they follow the first guy that enters their zone. And we don't know the disciplines of the zone. That could be what the coverage calls for, to pick up the first guy into your zone and just plaster to him. That is a thing. A lot of teams do run that, especially DPs. And I think this week they could get really exposed. This is the first week where I really am hesitant to bet the spread.
Let's see.
I'm still going to do it. First of all, let's go back to the Seahawks game that you were just, it's not about when you play, it's blah, 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 blah. You thought we would lose that game outright.
I did.
It's on record. Don't talk to me about riding. I'm not a fake anymore.
I'm sure
riding.
I bet on.
I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
I bet on the Falcons, though. I definitely didn't bet on the Seahawks. I just said I thought we'd lose. Yeah. But I think we'll cover this week. Let's get into predictions. Let's talk some Braves. Unfortunately, we have to do it, but we got to wrap up the season. Predictions against the Bengals. What you got, Alex, Jake? Who wants to go first? Or I'll go first.
I'm gonna say Falcons 31, Bengals 27. I think it's a good game. I think the Bengals make a late push. I think the Falcons get off to a hot start. Bengals make a late push. We almost choke, but don't.
I think it's going to be a muddy game.
I think it's going to be.
I like Falcons.
Actually, you know what? Let me revise this because I feel like the under is hitting like almost every game this year. And the unders have been so crazy in the NFL this year.
Yeah, I bet
I'm going to take it down to Falcons 21-17. 21-17, same rationale as I had before.
The Falcons are split on over-unders this year. Unlike the first few weeks, it was over.
I'll go 24-21 Falcons. I think they went outright.
I'll go opposite. Bengals, 24 Bengals, Falcons, 17. And if you buy the 7 points, you push.
Oh, you're a pansy. Look at this guy. Doesn't want to bet with the Falcons. Doesn't believe in the Falcons. Doesn't really believe in the Falcons.
Who's been to a game this year, buddy?
Dude, I've been to a game this year, buddy. In a row.
Which one are you?
Guess what? I'll be at the Panthers game watching the world's shittiest team versus the Falcons. Because I have to cheer on the Falcons. That'll be us going to 5-3.
I wish this kid told me he would bet me $500 that the Falcons would have a worse record than the Panthers this year. And I wish I would have taken it. I just didn't believe in the Falcons at that point. I knew the Panthers were always going to be dog shit. Let's not get that twisted. But they legitimately, I said they would be the worst team in the NFL, and he goes, no, they wouldn't. Well, you know what they are right now? They're the worst team in the NFL.
Alex tried me to get to bet fucking Panthers plus 10 the other week and ruined my parlay.
I did say before the season, though, that Matt Rule would get fired after he played us, and I was just a couple weeks off.
He didn't make it that far.
He didn't make it that far.
What a terrible tenure as a coach. That's wild.
Not really. I mean, he's cashing out. He's, Coach O. I think he's going down to Destin. They should have a coach's resort. They should have a fired coach's resort where they all just go down to the beach and just talk about how much money they just stole from said team or said school. I mean, Coach O would be the ringleader. I mean, how much did that guy? Oh no, Rule got $40 million.
Yeah,
we got more than Coach O, man. Those NFL teams are, and they're begging for a college team to hire them because I think they have to pay part of the buyout if they do.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. All right, guys, let's get into the part that we don't want to talk about, but we have to wrap up this season. The Braves fall to the Phillies 3-1 in the NLDS.
Who?
The best way I can put it is they saved their worst baseball of the season for the most inopportune time. They looked absolutely terrible on all facets.
Weren't ready to play.
I still say, though, if you have a healthy Fried and Strider, that series is a lot different because I think you win game one if Fried isn't sick. And then, who knows what Strider could do if he wasn't dealing with an oblique injury. But at the end of the day, they just didn't even show up. This lineup, outside of Matt Olson, Travis d'Arnaud, and Ronald Acuna for 3 of the games, I mean, nobody decided to show up to the ballpark. I mean, Michael Harris, Austin Riley, the guys that carried this team, the 7, 8, and 9. We had the best 7, 8, and 9 in the order. We had the deepest lineup in all of baseball. Guess who looked like a way better 7, 8, and 9 all series? The Phillies. The Stott, Brandon Marsh, guys who basically haven't done anything all season, came through in big moments time and time again. And we had opportunities, and I think we went, we probably went like one or two. 2 for like 30 with runners in scoring position. It was ridiculous.
Game 1, when they left the bases loaded twice and didn't do anything with it, I was like, yeah, this series might not go too well. Credit to the Phillies. They were way better than us this series. There's really not much else to say about it.
Who? I don't even know who we're
Yeah,
talking about.
can we talk about a real sport again? Can we
It's
go back to
football season. It's football
It's
season.
football and basketball season.
No,
will
how
say,
embarrassing, though.
funny.
It's embarrassing. There's no way to sugarcoat it. I mean, we sucked. And just like you said, in all facets, we sucked. It was depressing to watch. I was treating it like a funeral. I was at the Rock and Taco, and boy, was I sad. I mean, I was drinking my sorrows away. Had a really nice dinner, forgot about it for a little, and then got on my phone and was reminded of it by those fucking scumbag Philly fans. Golly, anybody but them.
We got lucky in the sense that, okay, I was at the Vanderbilt game, so I did not see the end of the game. Why did I just call it the Vanderbilt game? I was at the Georgia game. So I didn't see the end of it. And then I got home and Alabama Tennessee was on, and the game was so good. I was just like so enthralled with it. By that time, I had so many hours of just like not paying attention to it and not getting worked up over it that it kind of smoothed it over for me.
Yeah, I was at in the church in the aisle, so I had it next to me. And once they got that bloop single to make it 5-2, I was like, all right, fuck this, turn it off. And then I checked the score later. It's 8-3. Didn't watch the last few innings. Changed it on the radio on the way down to Charleston. I just changed the channel once it got to 9-1. So I never in a million years. The Braves haven't gotten beaten that bad in a series, let alone a playoff series. They got absolutely walloped all up and down the field. And what did I tell you? I think, Jake, I don't know if it was to you or maybe to both y'all, but the worst nightmare for me was always to lose to the Phillies in the playoffs because it's a team.
I said it on the show. I said I'd rather miss the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a team that you're better than, and to go out there and play like that and look the way you did and just get embarrassed. For the 2 games in Philadelphia, it was embarrassing and nothing went right. People were pointing fingers, and I love how people point fingers. Bro, we lost 9-1 and 8-3. There's a lot of things that went wrong. We can point fingers at everyone. Dansby Swanson, ass. Austin Riley, ass. Michael Harris, ass. These are all really good players. These are all guys that I love. But they were all terrible. They all played like shit, and they all know it. Vaughn Grissom is not a major league player. He's just not a major league player right now. I don't know why. 1, he got a start. 2, why the hell Brian Snitker put him in a bases loaded situation when he hasn't hit in 15 days in game 1 was beyond me. And he struck out on 3 pitches. But, Brian Snitker outcoached, outmanaged the whole series without a doubt. He was Brian Snitker, the worst managed series we've seen from him in a long time. But
yeah,
everyone sucked. So I'm not going to sit here and just oh my God, Acuna didn't back something up. That's why we lost. Are you fucking kidding? We lost by 8 runs.
That's why I was just completely pretending the Braves didn't exist, man. People were just being so fucking stupid, which is a little typical of this fan base sometimes, unfortunately. I don't want to hear y'all talk about who's hustling and who's we just lost. We just got embarrassed. What do you mean who's not hustling? Shut up. What do you mean? We got to trade. I just don't want to hear y'all stupid opinions. I don't want to talk about the Braves. Season's over. I'm going to take a few weeks before I even consider opening my mouth about the Braves on the internet. Probably a month.
The average sports fan is just dumb, and the Braves fans are no different. The average one is just dumb and illogical and emotional, and they're looking at anything that they can blame. And for some reason, it's one of the guys who showed up in the series. It's Ronald Acuna was one of the only reasons that we even had a shot in some of those games.
I don't understand the people not liking Ronald Acuna. It really
I don't get
mind-boggling to me. This guy is one of the best pure talents to ever walk the face of the earth. He's coming off a torn ACL. People actually think Acuna isn't going to be better next year. There's people out there that think Acuna, just because he tore his ACL, will never get back to the level that he was at. And I'm you guys are totally insane. This guy's been playing uncomfortable all season. He will start to feel comfortable again. I think you started to see that in the playoffs and stuff like that. He started to look like himself again. Yeah, he didn't hit a home run, but he was on base 75% of the first 2 or 3 games, and no one could drive him in because Dansby Swanson and Austin Riley were wet farts out there. And that's just the facts. That's just what it was. Matt Olson, only guy that really did anything. So, even our starting pitching. Max Fried, yes, he's sick and Strider oblique injury, but they both were terrible. You can blame those things, and that's probably why they weren't as good as they were all season. but they were terrible. I mean, shout out Kyle Wright, though. If there's one positive we can take from this series, Kyle fucking Wright is a ace. Like, he deserves to be talked about in the same light as Max Fried and Spencer Strider. Because he's like, he might be the third guy, but he's not that far off from those two. I mean, he won 21 games, had a 3 ERA, and then shoved against a good offense. Like, I don't think the Phillies overall are a World Series caliber team. That's a good offense. And he shoved with everything on the line, knowing he needed to go tit for tat with Zach Wheeler. So if there's one thing positive, it's Kyle Wright, if you ask me.
But
Yeah,
Charlie
that's all I
Morton.
got on him.
Yeah, I'm just depressed, dude. I do want to say, extending Charlie Morton, the whole broken leg, rehab, lockout, couldn't do all this stuff. Do you think that really made that big of an impact? Like, do you think he comes out next year and looks a lot like he did this year, where he's giving up a shitload of home runs? Or
I'm not gonna lie, man, and like,
I don't know, that deal was.
I know that he gave up a lot of home runs this year, and he missed his spots. And he kind of has an arsenal where he has a high fastball that sinks, and if it finds a barrel, it can go a long way. And he also has a hard curveball that if he hangs it, it can go a long way. So that's kind of why. But I'm not going to lie. When I watch Charlie Morton, just the eye test, I think he has some of the nastiest stuff in all of baseball. So fuck the numbers. Like, he throws a 97 mile per hour or 96 mile per hour sinker and shit like that that's moving 12 inches. He throws one of the hardest biting curveballs in all of baseball. Like, he has made a living with those two pitches, and I think he found a lot more barrels than he has ever before. I think some of that is just bad luck. Like, he's going to regress. He's not going to give up that many homers like next year. Like, he's going to regression towards the mean. Some of it's just bad luck. They just found barrels. It seemed like every mistake he made got hit hard. But that's not always how it goes. So when I watch Charlie Morton the eye test, I think he's still got it. So I like bringing him back. I really do.
Should we talk about a little off season?
I mean,
I don't want to keep talking about this series, dude.
I mean, we got plenty of time to talk about it. We got plenty of time to talk about it. I think maybe I'll just bring up something quickly on Dansby Swanson, and just because I had this argument on Twitter yesterday, because someone said, guys, if we're not gonna re-sign Dansby, we're definitely not getting Correa or Turner. We'll just call up Braden Shoemake and just fill in around him. Motherfuckers. Let me say this as positively as I can. There is no way in hell Braden Shoemake, who had a sub 700 OPS in Gwinnett, is coming in and starting at shortstop next year. With this roster is built to win a championship. You're not shoving a rookie who was not even good at AAA to start at shortstop and replace Dansby Swanson. There's 0%.
There's a better chance of me starting at shortstop than that happening.
Well, there's a better chance Orlando Arcia will start before that ever happens. 1. 2, Vaughn Grissom would be the prospect that you would start. Vaughn Grissom is not starting at shortstop either. So neither is Orlando Arcia. So a free agent is going to take over at shortstop. That is one thing I can guarantee. You can put that in writing. And if I had to guess, it will be one of the big four. It will be Dansby, Correa, Turner, or Xander Bogaerts. And I think obviously it will be Dansby. Like that, I think that's the clear obvious one of them. But if they don't get Dansby, if they don't like him, if they want to upgrade, if they don't think Dansby can repeat this year, I'm not counting out Correa. We had talks with him last year. I'm not counting out Trey Turner. You said before, Terry McGurk reiterated, we want to be a top 5 payroll in all of baseball. They're going to re-sign they're going to sign someone to fill that shortstop role. I don't think it's going to be a stopgap. I think it's going to be one of the big four. They're going to get one of them.
But even if it is, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think that you could get Carrera, or I think Trey Turner. I think all the other 3 would all sign short-term, high AAV deals, like without a doubt. Carrera more than the other 2, I think.
We'll see. Correa gave us a bullshit, and he gave us the same. They floated the same idea that he signed with the Twins, which were the 3 years for $110 million, but you have a player opt-out after every one, and the Braves don't do player opt-outs. They don't do it. So they're not going to do a player opt-out. So if he wants a player opt-out, it's not going to come. Now, if he wants to just sign a short-term deal with $40 million AAV over 3 years. Like if he wants a 3 for 120, I could see the Braves giving him that without a doubt. I don't know if the Braves will do the mega contracts, like the $300 million contracts. I don't see that, but I do think they got the money. They have the rest of the pieces filled in. I think that shortstop is going to be their number one priority, and I think they get one of those big four. But if you want to go even further, I think the writing's on the wall for Max Fried. I don't think Max Fried comes back. This is his last season in Atlanta. This next season, I don't think they re-sign Max Fried.
Damn, that was depressing. Hang on, you just dropped that. You don't think they re-sign Max Fried?
Wow. I would say the odds of us re-signing Max Fried are 25% or less.
Damn.
Because I think you give Strider that money for a reason. I think Kyle Wright's a true number 2. I think you can fill in with free agent pitchers like Charlie Morton and stuff like that without committing to – because let's be real, like Max Fried, and you know this, Jake, Max Fried's getting 7 for $225. Like he's getting something like that. Like he's going to get a monster contract. I don't think the Braves look at him as a true ace. Like I think they view Spencer Strider as an ace. I think they view Max Fried as a number 2. And I don't think you pay your number 2 $225 million. So I think the writing's on the wall. And I think Kyle Wright is going to move into that spot. Maybe they look to try to sign him to an extension soon.
They got a log jam of pitchers.
But I think they're going to. So I think they will. But they will spend the money that they do have to get into this top 5 payroll on that shortstop. Like they're not going to sit here and just leave that space open with their championship window.
We got all off season to discuss this though. So
yeah, we do, and we don't have to talk more about the NLDS. We wrapped up our season. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, we won 101 wins. Woohoo! Thanks for following us." It was sad. It was sad. It was embarrassing, but it is what it is. We will talk a lot about the Braves this offseason. You know me, the offseason never stops. I'm already writing free agent articles. It is what it is. Guys, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week. Hopefully the Falcons are alone in first place. Go Birds, baby.